You guys can see, I'm halfway through Francis Ngannou's Joe Rogan Experience episode, and I am very intrigued, and I'm disgusted as well by the actions of Spain, Morocco. But I already knew those countries don't respect. Like, if you're black in North Africa, they're very racist. I mean, people have told me like people have told me, Moroccan people have told me that this is how it is. Algerian people have told me that this is how it is. So I'm not surprised that the Moroccan officials treated the black, the darker skinned Africans like garbage, because they treat them like garbage because they're racist, and also then uneducated, uncivilized. Yeah, it's not really the foot soldiers' fault, man. It's the people at the top. The foot soldiers are just foot soldiers, man. They're puppets. They're not even a big. They're not even a factor. They're pawns. It's the higher ups. It's the politicians. It's the ministers. Those are the people that control everything. You know. And looking at this story, Francis Ngannou was talking about how he escaped from. First of all, what he did was, when he was in Cameroon, he left and he went to, where did he go first? He went to Nigeria. He went through Nigeria to Algeria, and then from Algeria, I believe he went to Morocco, and then tried to swim, get a boat from Libya, or I think Libya, and then go to Italy or Spain. We tried to go to Spain through Morocco. He tried to go through to Spain through Morocco. He hasn't gotten to the part where he goes through Libya, because I'm pretty sure he went through Libya to get to Italy. That's how migrants usually get from one place to another. They go through Libya, but then they get interned at Libya. Crazy stuff. I'm looking at this story and I'm in awe. I'm in shock. I'm inspired, to say the least. And I'm also very intrigued at how he escapes. The fact that Francis Ngannou is even alive right now. But also, what I don't understand is, why are the border guards making life so miserable for these migrants, though? Why? Well, you got to think about it from two situations, right? A sovereign country that has resources, and those resources are not even enough to sustain their own population, or maybe they have the resources, but the politicians are taking it and putting it in their back pocket. But when you look at a country like Italy, and then you look at the migrant situation, you can kind of understand why they treat them like garbage. But I can understand the reason behind it. But yeah, letting 1,000 or thousands and thousands of migrants into your country is not a good idea for the country, And people are always looking at this like from the perspective of, don't let them in, but because because you live in the you live in the West, you're privileged. But is the answer to let every single person from a different country come to the West? That's not the answer, man. The answer is not to bring every fucking Cameroonian citizen to France, or it's not gonna work. That's not a solution. That's not a solution, So it's a really multifaceted, complex problem that will only be solved by the leaders of Cameroon or Nigeria, or yeah, you have to create avenues, and you have to create opportunities for people to make money. But then you look at how the West is exploiting the African resources, and then you look at how China is exploiting the resources, and then you look at how the leaders of Cameroon and Somalia and all these other places are taking advantage of the people. then you see that this is a multifaceted, complex problem. It's not something that you can just blame on the West or even blame on the Cameroon. The West, they have some blame, but then the government of these African countries have some blame too. It's a multifaceted problem that you cannot solve without time. And I don't know, man. It's difficult. Okay, but what about visas then? They're not gonna allow you a visa because they're gonna be like, you're gonna stay longer than your visa. Of course, that's what they're gonna be like. They're gonna be like, oh, you're coming from Cameroon? No, you're not. You're not gonna be allowed to come to France or Netherlands or Germany or whatever, because you are not an asset to this country. That's how they look at it. If you have a limit. But Francis had a plan. He had a vision. He had a goal. He had a dream, And he was never going to accomplish that in Cameroon. So he had to leave. There was no other option. But the reason I think that most people will not leave is because they can't. They can't. I don't think I would be able to survive a trip like that. I would die. I think I would 100% die. I would not make it to Libya or Nigeria or anywhere else. I wouldn't make it, man. I wouldn't make it and take the boat to Italy. I wouldn't make it. I would try to succeed in my home country, but that would also not be possible because of the fucking dilapidated state that the country is in. So it feels well, yeah, it does feel hopeless. Listening to the story, it does feel hopeless. You feel it's a hopeless situation as you keep listening to the story. I'm halfway through. I'm gonna listen to the rest today, but I'm very intrigued and interested in this story. It's interesting. But yeah, migration, like immigration and all those things, it's a very multifaceted problem. It's not something you can solve with the click of your fingers. It's going to require cooperation from both sovereign countries, and then it's going to require cooperation from the European Union and the African Union. It's going to require cooperation. And it's also going to require economic cooperation. It's going to require corruption handling. It's going to require so many different things to be done before we can solve this problem. It goes back to a lot of different issues. It's not something you can solve today or tomorrow or even 1 year from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now. It's something that will be solved maybe 1,000, maybe not even 1,000 years from now. So yeah, it's out of your hands. There's really nothing you can do about it, to be honest. So interesting story. I feel for Francis. I hope he's able to get all the success he wants. He's now the UFC heavyweight champion, so he upset all the odds. He truly did. But to say that anyone else from Cameroon can do what he did is very disingenuous, in my opinion, for Joe Rogan to say that. Because let's be real, you think that it's possible for every single Cameroonian to leave Cameroon and go to Italy or go to France and make it? How? It's not even viable. It's not even possible. Every citizen? No, it's not. Maybe a few. But even those few, it's hard and very difficult for them to even make the trip. There's a high possibility they'll die on their way there. So yeah, difficult to say, man. Difficult to say, but yeah, it's difficult. For Francis to have even made it is, wow, it's crazy. But he's a 1 in a million. He is a 1 in a million. You're never going to see another Francis for a while. These kind of stories only pop up like 1 in a million. How many migrants do you know that are successful and have millions of dollars, or are even rich, or are even famous like Francis? No, you don't see that, man. You don't see that on a regular basis. It happens 1 in a million. Francis is the exception, not the rule. Most migrants that come to the West, they get on benefits, they take money from the government, yeah, they don't become high profile boxers and fighters, man. They just don't. And they don't even get into education, really. There's a few. There's a few of them that do, but the majority they don't. So I can understand why the West would not want to take in these people, but I can also understand why they'd want to go. Building up your own country. People say, oh, why don't you just stay in your home country and build it up? That seems like the only option. Yes. That does seem like the only option that you have. But you're talking from a privileged perspective, man. You're privileged. You have more than he has. You have a lot more than he has. And then you're telling him, "Oh, why don't you just get on my level?" That's like Amazon telling the local corner store, "Get on my level. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps." But then you're ignoring everything. You're ignoring all of the circumstances that led to your success that he doesn't have. He doesn't have those opportunities that you have. You see what I'm saying? Like everybody looks at like Western mindset. When you have a Western mindset and you apply it to Africa, it's just not gonna work out. It doesn't work like that. But anyways, that was my little rant. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and bye. And subscribe and like the video. Peace.